Hi everyone, I'm your host Lilian, and welcome to the Frame of Mind podcast, a podcast dedicated to those willing to reach their high potential selves, wanting the highest quality of life, open to wisdom and knowledge, mental health, and self-development. In this podcast, I aim to deliver messages that will help you, that will motivate you, inspire you, and grow as an individual. So come and join me on this journey of success and self-development. Hi everyone, I am so excited to come again to produce and give y'all a podcast episode. I changed the microphone because the other one wasn't doing me justice, and this sounds way better. This sounds more like a microphone itself. So definitely a good investment for sure. But I am so excited for today's episode, which is gonna be about trusting yourself. Now, that's a topic that we should have, or a concept that we should have already in ourselves. But one thing that's not making us have that concept is the concept of fear. Now, before we get started, let's just I don't know why I'm so excited. I'm just full of joy that I actually get to produce a podcast episode for y'all. And it's been a rough week so far, like balancing it and all of that, but just being around people, like just hanging around the people that I love, they literally help me produce my being around people that I know, like they help me just plant more of the seed that I'm trying to plant. And like sometimes motivation won't help, and discipline is the key thing that's gonna help you grow. And so I lacked a lot of motivation, and I just had a lot of discipline. But then going with these people, they literally they woke me up. They were like, hey, remember this, remember that, you gotta do it, and all of that. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So we gotta do this, okay? So for every podcast, I have like a script. And today I don't have a script. So I am so sorry if this topic is like everywhere. But I'll make sure that I say what I got to say, okay? You got to trust yourself. There's not gonna be many people that are gonna trust you. And trust is so hard to gain back. Trust is what's going to help you get respected. Trust is what's going to help you have like a concrete center mind. It's all about trust. And you got to trust yourself, okay? I came up with this topic when it came a lot about what I really wanted to pursue in my life. And there was this one teacher, she's like, I don't know what she was, like she just gave a presentation over college, and I'm over here knowing that I have to take a leap of faith and know, because I know what I want and I'm certain about it. And that's the thing, you got to be certain over the things that you really want in your life. You got to be certain over the things that you really want. I'm a girl that's certain about what she wants to do in her life, and I want to follow that. I want to be certain over it. And I know that I am, and I want to be certain over it. So if I have this constant thought that, like people are going to judge me, or that I'm doubting over the idea that it's impossible, or the idea that people are not going to support it, then basically I'm just showing myself, and I'm literally showing up to myself and telling myself that I don't really want it. Because if you really wanted it, you wouldn't have second guessed it. If you really wanted it, you wouldn't have had the second negative thought. Because if you are certain it's a yes, you're going to be committed to it. You're going to put everything in your power to do it. You're going to do everything in your power to follow it. You're going to do everything in your power to be it. But if you're second guessing it, at this point, at this rate, do you even want it? Like, what? At that point, you're choosing to suffer. You're choosing to suffer with insecurity. You're choosing to suffer with all these constant negative thoughts that are literally distracting you from the path of certainty. So you have to get all the negative thoughts out of your head. You gotta clear your mind and be certain about it. In the world, there's no maybe. There's no if. No, with just a change of a concept in your mind, you can change your perception of the world. Literally all you got to do is change some words. You got to change your attitude. All you got to do is do that. So when you change your attitude into actually wanting to trust yourself, you're gonna see more confidence. And that's the thing. We don't trust ourselves because we disappointed ourselves. We don't trust ourselves because we are not what we expected. We're not happy of ourselves. That's why we feel this constant disappointment. We feel like we don't deserve it. We don't feel all of that. But you got to trust yourself because you're the only one that's going to be there for you. And if you can't even trust yourself with your life or with the things that are going to happen to you or with the things that were meant to be yours, right? The things that other people are going to want you to do, they're probably not even going to trust you. You got to be able to trust yourself because you got to gain your respect. You got to gain that trust. And so you got to gain your trust too. Your trust won't be like, oh, I trust myself with this and that. No, you got to trust it. You got to follow what's literally right for you. If you're not trusting yourself, it's because you have this constant insecurity and this doubt and all of these negative things that are not supposed to be in your head. They're not supposed to be in your head. And it's so crazy to me because it's like you are talking about it so much. You're talking about how you wish people could trust you. You talk about how you wish you handled that situation better. Sometimes you even talk about how you really want to break up with this person. You gotta trust yourself, and this is where I come up with the point that you gotta follow your intuition. You gotta follow your spirit. Following your spirit is such truth to yourself because it's right. Whatever comes out of you or the actions that you're portraying, yes, it's character, but it's also spirit. Character builds up how you're going to produce the labor or the fruits of the spirit from my perspective as a Christian. And this is such a big concept because when I'm following the spirit of God, I literally don't have no certainty because his path is so firm and it's straight and it's not gonna move and it's just right there and it's not gonna move. That's why you gotta plant your trust on something that's not gonna move. That's why if you really want to trust someone, if you really want to trust somebody, you gotta trust them with a firm foundation. Because if you don't trust them with that firm, let's say, opinion or assumption, if it's not something firm, most likely they're gonna betray that trust. Most likely they're gonna betray that. Same goes to you. You gotta put your trust in something firm and follow your spirit and follow your intuition. There's no maybe, there's no if, there's a yes or a no. You can't be, oh, but I really want that, I really want this. No, it's a yes or a no. And that's where it comes to be complicated because you do not know what you want, but I'm telling you, you know what you want. It's the spirit that's going to tell you what you're wanting or what you need. It's your intuition that's going to actually make you follow what you really want and need. Deep down, you know it, what you really want. Deep down, you really know what you really need, but you are not following it. That's where you are going to suffer. And that's where you're gonna literally regret everything. That's where you start disappointing yourself. And that's where you literally make a mark and where you don't trust yourself no more. You don't trust yourself no longer because of what you're constantly doing. And this comes with habits. Break your habits, break those agreements, and start trusting yourself. There's no such thing, oh, I'm gonna wait when I'm older, I'm gonna wait till that. No, do it now. Do it now. Break that agreement that you're gonna do it later. You're gonna have time because later on you're not gonna see it. Trust yourself. Trust the process, bruh. Give yourself that leap of faith. Trust yourself. Be like, yeah, I want to show up for myself and I really want this, so I'm gonna do it. And you're gonna see that whenever you trust yourself, you're radiating confidence. You're radiating security, but whenever you're lacking the trust within yourself, you are projecting insecurity, you're projecting that you're lacking confidence. But if you really want it, and if you really feel like you are trustworthy of it, then be confident with it, have a right attitude with it, and don't have a second guessing attitude, because if you do, you're not gonna have it. You're gonna scare it away. If you're gonna have a bad attitude, you're not gonna trust yourself. Your attitude has to be firm to one certain attitude, and it has to stay like that consistently, which for me in the doctrines of Christianity is always being joyful, always rejoicing, and so that's what y'all should follow too. Always rejoicing. Even if something bad happens, always think about the good things about it. Don't think about the negative things about it, because if you start thinking about the negative things about it, that's where you start actually engraving bad energy. You're getting this bad things, and the position that you're at right now, where you feel like you can't trust yourself and the decisions that you're making and everything, is because you're constantly disappointing yourself because of the actions that you're doing prior to that. So break that. Don't continue that constant habit, because it's not gonna help you grow at all. Trust yourself. Literally, trust yourself. Stop wanting to have the approval of others. Literally stop trying to please people. Stop trying to have stop making assumptions about other people, what they're gonna think about you, because number one, they don't care. Number two, they have more bigger things to think about. And if your constant thought about doing or starting something and not taking that leap of faith, or having that doubt because you want to live by what other people's standards are, that's where you start disappointing yourself. You have to stop and break that habit. You can't continue with that. You can't continue with that type of mindset. To have trust within yourself, it's a mindset. It's literally a mindset. Because as much as I could tell you to trust yourself, it all comes to you having that right attitude and the in a growth mindset for you to do it. It takes a lot of courage to trust yourself. And it took me a lot of courage to actually want to trust myself. For an example, with as I mentioned in the beginning about my future career, it was so hard for me to just say or just show my certainty, but I never modified it. And that's the thing, most of us will remix some stories so we can get the approval of others, but I was so certain that I didn't even remix it. Even if people are gonna say something, still trust yourself. You have to be confident that it is gonna happen, and there's a difference. Okay, there's a difference over being overconfident and trusting yourself, because being overconfident, it's like you being so predictable of the future when you don't have that superpower. None of us have the superpower to have or know what the future can hold, but we do have a dream and vision, and that dream and vision is planted for us so we can be able to actually pursue it and actually follow the calling of that. So when that happens, or whenever we're thinking about this constant vision or dream that we have, we're gonna, of course, trust it. We're trusting those dreams and we're trusting those callings, right? So that's where you're actually gonna show up for yourself. It's all showing up for yourself. So you gotta show up for yourself, and whenever you show up, you're gonna thank yourself a lot. You showed up for yourself, and now you're trusting it. You're trusting the dream that you have. You trust yourself that you're actually gonna have it. You're trusting yourself on the things that you're gonna do to make it. Because if you don't trust yourself within the area, you're most likely gonna fail. So trust yourself so you won't fail. This was such a short podcast episode because I don't really have nothing else for it other than just telling y'all and motivating y'all to just trust yourselves. That's all it is. And as much as I can dive really intellectually about it, it's all up to you, and it's all a mindset. One thing that I did learn is that rejection is gonna happen, and that's a lot. Whenever rejection happens, that's where you start building that trust. You're like, oh, that happened, well, now guess what, gotta build it up. It's like building blocks. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to the Frame of Mind podcast. This was such a short episode, but I appreciate the ones that are actually listening to this podcast. And hope y'all enjoy it. Now go follow my Instagram, TikTok, and follow me on Spotify. Rate the podcast on Spotify. Anyways, guys, that's it. Bye, guys.